Hi, everybody. Before I get right into the film itself, I'll talk into the mic. Thank you, Victor. Before I jump right into an overview of the film that we're pitching, I just wanted to say a brief word on why I'm here in Russia. My name's Jim Stilll. I live in Los Angeles. It's been my home for 25 years. And in that time, I've been involved in producing, distributing, and financing over 100 films. 2 of the films came out of Russia. One of them in 1992 was the first film, Hollywood film, made after the collapse of the Soviet Union. It was called Back in the USSR with Natalia Negoda and Roman Polanski. And then most recently, I was a producer on Generation P, which Viktor Ginzburg directed with Viktor Pelevin. So why am I here again, talking about making yet another film in Russia, God forbid, in Russian language? Am I a glutton for punishment is the biggest question. Over the years, I've consulted on many productions and distribution projects which focus on connecting non-English language films to audiences. But when it comes to Russia, I get especially excited. Russia is a country with a film culture that dates back to the beginning of film. Russia is a people with 300 million large around the world, 140 million in Russia, and 160 million everywhere else. I believe that Russia and many countries today are underserved with high-quality domestic films, and that there is a great hunger for such. Russia, China, India, Brazil have cinema businesses which are starting to explode. In the United States, we've got 35,000 screens for 350 million people. In Russia, there are only 5,000 screens for 140 million people, but every day, more and more are being built. The marketplace is exploding. There's also the fact that my daughter thinks Russia's the coolest place on the planet and wants to live here. With the right stories coming from writers like Viktor Pelevin and the right marketing, both online and offline, laser targeted at global diasporas made up of both Russian natives and the millions of others that are drawn to hip, sexy films based on high-end literary sources coming out of someplace other than Hollywood. There is a sustainable business to make great films from countries like Russia and export those films around the world. I am excited by this prospect, and I'm in love with being a part of it. To this, I am here today with the film Empire V and 2 of Russia's most important talents, the 2 Victors. Viktor Pelevin, one of the greatest living writers in Russia today, and Viktor Ginzburg, one of the greatest living directors in Russia today. Here is Empire V. Can you move to the next slide, please? We talked enough about me, so you can move on. So this is our second project. The first film was Generation P that Viktor Pelevin wrote. It's one of the most, it's considered a seminal novel in Russia. Empire V is the sequel to that. It's actually a trilogy, so hopefully we'll get around to doing the 3rd picture. Next slide. As I mentioned before, there are 2 Victors. I love the symmetry to that. Viktor Pelevin, we've talked about, a great novelist, and Viktor Ginzburg, I won't wax more poetic. The guy's directed hundreds of music videos, commercials. In Generation P, we could spend the rest of our lives wandering around the planet to film festivals. It's been in Toronto, it's been in Karlovy Vary, it's won awards all over the place. And it's brought him to Mumbai and God knows where else. Next. The project, both the book and the film itself, has gotten critical reviews around the world. And here is Empire V. Again, it's based on a spectacular book, and we will start, hopefully we'll start shooting this movie first quarter of 2013. We'll start prepping it at the end of this year. The director I've spoken about, he's sitting right there. He doesn't want me to say anything more, so I won't. Next. We've got a great team of people putting this together. We've got an executive producer by the name of Chris Audie. Chris Audie is considered by many to be one of the more interesting, important filmmakers in Britain. We're looking at Empire V as being a Russian-European co-production. Chris Oddie probably knows more about co-productions than most people. He was Jeremy Thomas's partner for about 10 years. And with Jeremy Thomas, he produced movies like Last Emperor, a lot of Bertolucci films, David Cronenberg's Naked Lunch, Crash, and many others.
I'm so sorry. You can be much more, you know.
Okay, let me speed it up then. We've got Andrei Vasiliev, who's probably one of the most interesting media people in Russia. We've got Stas Yershov, who was the founder of Gorky Park. He produced, he was one of my colleagues on Generation P. He's done Missing Men and other films. Next. And we've got, next. And then to guide our distribution efforts, which will be very aggressively online, we've got probably one of the top internet guys in the country, Ivan Zazursky, to guide us through all of that. Next. Victor, can you say a couple of words about the film itself? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Victor Ginzburg.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. I just want to say that when I was shooting Generation P, about 4 years ago, I was really immersed in a very difficult, hallucinogenic shoot that we're having. And suddenly Victor Pelevin showed up, the writer, called me up, and those who know anything about Victor Pelevin know that he's a recluse. He doesn't speak to the press. He never ever appears in public, and you know he's kind of a mystery. It really guards his time in writing. So he showed up and put down the manuscript of this novel, and basically said, "Look, all the answers to the questions in the film Generation P are answered in this book." And I was terrified because I didn't want to do another Pelevin film. I had another project I wanted to do. So anyway, I had no choice. I read the book, and there it was, basically my destiny to make this film. So this is essentially a vampire film that sort of really expands the genre, the vampire genre, which we all know by heart by now. So this sort of turns it upside down, really. And it's a philosophical, sort of satirical tale about the world we live in, and its obsession with money, beauty, and blood. And that's sort of the philosophical high plane and it's really kind of a Russian Matrix in a way, because it allows us to...
Sorry, Victor, but very quick, because we have no time.
Yeah, the closest film I can relate to is The Matrix, but it's kind of a Russian philosophical vampire matrix. But on the simple level, it's really a love story of two vampires, young vampires in Moscow, coming of age. And it's pretty much, that's it. And I just want to have Ivan Zazursky say exactly 5 words, okay? And then we're done.
Time. Sorry, we have no time.
My 5 words are like this, that I urge you to see the Generation P because it's coming to screens globally this year, and I urge you to see the sequel. And then I want you all to pray that we make the 3rd movie. Okay? So please do.
Thank you very much.